that's the goal, to play with as many people as possible and play as many different kinds of music. That is definitely my goal.
Hi, and welcome to ForBassPlayersOnly.com. I'm John Liebman, and I help people who've always wanted to learn bass, but haven't gotten very far with it yet, or at least not far enough. I have a very special interview this week. It's with Kaspar Boye Larsen of Volbeat, talking about growing up in Denmark, playing the bass, playing with Volbeat, and especially the new album which is coming out. We're going to get to all of that in just a second. But first, if you've ever wanted to learn bass, you should know that right now there are thousands of people inside the For Bass Players Only community, men and women of all ages. And you know what they're doing? They're learning bass. They're having the time of their life playing music that they love. Come join them and experience that incredible transformation for yourself. As I always say, you're never too old to groove. So let's play bass. Kaspar Boye Larsen, or KB as his friends call him, is a Danish bassist best known for being a member of the globally acclaimed metal act Volbeat since 2016. He was inspired to pick up the bass after first hearing The Cure in the late 80s, which quickly turned into teaching himself bass techniques from many heavier rock styles, including punk, hardcore, traditional heavy metal, and death metal. Before working with Volbeat, Kaspar played for many years with Danish metal act Withering Surface up until 2004. And in June of 2025, Kaspar will be embarking on a North American and European tour with Volbeat in support of their upcoming new album, God of Angels Trust, which is being released or was released, depending on when you're watching this, June 3rd, 2025. Here is my interview with Kaspar. Hello, Kaspar.
Hi.
How are you? You said your friends call you KB, right? Or Kaspar Boye?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'll be your friend, KB. I want to talk about the new album that I've been listening to for the last few days. I got a preview copy. I've been enjoying it very much. God of Angels Trust, the new Volbeat album. Definitely want to get into that. But I think my audience would be a little more interested at first in hearing about your story and what led up to all this. You're originally from Denmark, and I want to hear about the early days, your initial exposure to music and how you became a bass player. I don't know if all of your family is musical, but I know there's at least one other member who's musical. So what was it like? Were your parents, taking you to concerts? You have lots of brothers and sisters playing records and exposing you to different kinds of music. I mean, what were those early days like for you?
My dad was before I was born, he was playing jazz music. He was playing trumpet. So there might be something in my genes. I don't know. But to be honest, we didn't hear that much music in my house. My dad got some great records, but it was nothing that we did much. But I always had a kind of an interest in music. But there was a time, I think it was in 87, 88 maybe, I heard my sister playing a record from one of her friends, and it was The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And that changed everything for me, because it was noisy, and it was also very melodic, and it was, Robert Smith I thought he was looking absolutely great at the time. So from there on, I went into punk and hardcore and new wave, goth, and all that. And that was very 80s, but it was the late 80s actually. So I was listening a lot to that, and my music taste got more and more noisy. I was very into kind of, lo-fi hardcore. But then I went to a boarding school in 90, 91. And there was some people, some long-haired people that was, and they were listening to death metal. So that got, I mean, usually I was not into metal at all, but there was something about death metal, that kind of, grindcore and really fast stuff. So when I got back from that boarding school back to my home, the only people that I could find that was, want to play music other than being in a cover band, it was people who was smoking a little weed, and they were also playing death metal. Not very good, but that's how I got into the bass, because it was easy to learn, and I couldn't really, I had never played an instrument before. And then I kind of had this picture of me looking like Sid Vicious, because he was looking so cool. Couldn't play, but I thought that, I mean, you can learn that. The most important thing was for me to be in a band and try to look cool. I didn't, but
So how old were you when you
when
first picked up?
I was around 14, 15, maybe, a little late.
Okay.
I know some people start very early on, but that was not the case with me. And then I started playing in a band, and I mean, as I told you before, they were smoking weed, so it was kind of a little difficult to get them to the rehearsing room, because they. So I got a little frustrated, because I wanted to do more, and I was actually started practicing. So I moved. I was going for concerts for a town that was like what, 45 minutes by train away. So I met some people there, started rehearsing there, and that's actually where I met Michael. And I was playing in one band that was Withering Surface, my first real band, and he was playing in a band called Dominus. And Denmark is a small country, so we played a lot of the same venues at the same time. So I knew him way before I got involved with Volbeat. And then, I mean, everything. I think we stopped Withering Surface in 2005, and then Michael called me. He'd started this new band Volbeat in 2001 or two, and they needed a bass player for like a stand-in for a European tour. So I was doing that, and then I was doing all kinds of other hardcore punk bands in 10 years before I got the call from Michael to if I wanted to join Volbeat full time.
Who were
So
some
yeah,
of your other? It doesn't sound like Sid Vicious was a musical influence as much as maybe a
no, not at all.
cultural.
He was just looking so great.
But what about as far as the music goes, and as your musical palette expanded and you're playing more and you're listening more, there must have been
Yeah.
some bass player influences that you had. Were
I
there?
mean, there was a lot of bass players that I thought sounded great, but it was not like I was trying to do. I mean, there was a bass player like Steve DeGorgio from Death, and he was in Sadus. He was also playing in Autopsy for a while, and Autopsy is one of my favorite death metal bands. And I thought it sounded great with him playing, but it was not like I wanted to play like that. I was uh, I was also from The Cure, Simon Gallup. He was also a big. I mean, I don't think I'm much inspired by, but I was looking very much up to him, because I mean, he was just so, got his own style. So I mean, there's been a lot of bass players I thought was great, but I didn't really want to. It was not like I was trying to do anything they were doing. I was just,
Gotcha.
you know, going along, you know.
Gotcha. When I think of Denmark, I just first of all, I just get this feeling it's such a wonderful country. People say great things about it. It's a great place to live, and the culture and the environment and all that. And I always think about okay, I interviewed Ida Nielsen. Do you know who she is from Denmark? She's
Peter
a
Nielsen,
big.
yeah. You've been
I
there?
interviewed her. I haven't been there yet. My wife and I have such a long list of places we want to go, and that's it might be more on my list than hers, but I'd like to get there. And I interviewed Chris Ming Doki. He's not from Denmark; he's from Vietnam, but he lives in Denmark now.
I
And you
think
know,
he's,
Chris,
yeah, I totally know him. Him and his brother,
yeah,
Nils Landogi, I think, is playing piano.
and then
Um, I mean, he's also like a like one of the greatest bass players, definitely from Denmark. Him,
amazing.
him, and of course Nils Henning Ørsted Pedersen.
That was the next one I was going to mention. He's the first one I think of. I saw him about a month after I started playing bass. I was 19 years old. I saw him with Oscar Peterson and Joe
Yeah,
Pass in a little jazz club just outside Detroit at a Hyatt Regency. And I still haven't recovered from that. It was
no,
unbelievable.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
he was amazing. He even played on some with some Danish pop artist,
Really.
and it got his own style going, and he was amazing.
He sure was. He sure was.
I actually
So
I mean, it's just my dad was into jazz, and he had a lot of great American pressings of old Blue Note and Verve records, but I was not really into that at that time. But then, I mean, it's like 6 months ago or something. I was listening to a saxophone player called Mats Gustafsson from Sweden, and he
mhm.
played free jazz. I mean, very, very noisy and aggressive and experimenting. And that was really opening up my eyes for, you know, for jazz. So I got a lot of stuff to learn right now. Great records I can dig into, but free jazz, that is my new thing.
I find free jazz a lot more fun to play than to listen to.
That is that is my goal at the moment. That is to just try and just get in there. You don't talk about notes or rhythms or anything. You just go in there and you just play. You have no idea, just total 100% improvisation. That
What
is,
about people? Well, what about now? You've got me thinking about people like Ornette Coleman or Anthony
yeah,
Braxton or Art
that's what
Ensemble.
everybody say that I should go listening to. Ornette Coleman. Yeah,
I
that is my
actually
next.
find it easier to listen to now. I hated it at first.
Yeah,
And then, 30, 40 years go by and say, okay, yeah, I think I understand what he's saying. And I kind of like some of this now. And even the same with Anthony Braxton, which surprised me. Art Ensemble of Chicago, I Cecil Taylor, it's people like that. I don't know. Sometimes when we want to listen to music, it's because we want to feel a certain way. Maybe we want to tap our toe and snap our fingers and bop our head like that.
yeah.
And I guess you have to go into that kind of music knowing what you're. I figure like, hey, let me see what these people are all about. Let me really listen and try to see where they're going. John Coltrane, I love John Coltrane, and what I hear in his playing is he'll seem to stumble on an idea during his improvised solo, and then he'll play it
Yeah.
again, and he'll work through it, and he'll work through it again and again and again. And not everybody can appreciate that. It's kind of
No,
a
no,
rough.
definitely not. But it's also you need to be so, if you want to play that kind of jazz, you really need to be so extremely good on your instrument and on your
Yeah,
theories and your, all that.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's not where I am at all. I'm
yeah,
kind of struggling all the time, I think.
yeah.
Um, finger techniques and all that. And I don't really rehearse that much unless we are recording, or if we are
Yeah.
going on tour. So I'll never get that to that point, where I can play stuff like that. But free jazz, I think that's that's where I can. I don't know. Maybe it's just
It's
a
funny.
dream.
My bass teacher, I studied classical double bass, and my
Yeah.
teacher was really big on Baroque. He would have us play Vivaldi sonatas and things with a lot of eighth notes, a lot of 16th notes. And he was telling me one of his students went to see and hear a bass player perform a contemporary bass concerto. And the teacher said, I asked the student, is he any good? And the student said, I don't know. Because of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Baroque. I went to a master class just last week, and the guy was working with a couple of students at Michigan State University, and they're playing excerpts from Beethoven and from Mozart and all this stuff. And it's easy to understand that kind of music, but
Yeah.
that I don't get it. Let's talk about Volbeat, and I know you must be excited about the new album. Like I mentioned once or twice, I've been listening to it. So tell me about God of Angels Trust. Tell me about the album. Was there something that you were trying to say? Was there a message that the band wanted to get out? How does it differ, in your opinion, from your other stuff? Talk to me about the new record.
Um, we were having a break, a touring break last year. Um, we were not supposed to do anything, actually. Well, maybe a record, but we were not going out playing live. So we kind of thought about maybe we're doing an album, maybe record or something. But Michael, who is the main songwriter, he writes actually everything. He was just really in the mood in his own bubble. So all the songs were written within a month, 6 weeks or something. So it was
Wow.
really, really fast. He came down to rehearsing and he got a song. And then, I mean, it was very fast. But contrary to the other albums that I've been on, this time I was recording some demos, so I could sit at my own studio, kind of figuring out what to play, and I could actually I could compose a little bit more, just play different stuff, different bass lines that was not following just the traditional guitar. Um, so I think that gave me a lot, because I think I was trying to do some different stuff this time. I always try to do the bass a little bit more interesting than just playing root notes. But this time I thought it was. I actually think it's the best album that I've been playing on, not just Volbeat, but in general. There are some. I think there are some funny stuff. Some walking bass lines in a rock song. You don't hear that very often. And that was a song where, because we also in the back in the days, we had a lot of psychobilly, rockabilly influences on the songs. And there was one song here where I thought, what would it sound like if I was actually playing, the double bass, the slap bass, like you do in old 50s songs. So I was kind of imagine that. I can't play the upright bass, but I was kind of imagine what would it sound like what notes would I So and that's the song called Better Be Fueled Than Tame. And I kind of play walking bass line. That's very funny. I mean, I love playing that song. I can't wait to play it live. But that was very different from the other times. That was when I was just kind of improvising in the studio, playing very traditional. Maybe you have a lick once in a while, but you know, trying to do. I know that in rock music and in heavy hard rock, the bass is not something that you're listening to. I mean, it's just there, but I would like it to be a little bit where you kind of you can where we can hear it, where you kind of, hey, what is that? Oh, you know. So when you
Melodic.
listen to the record, like the third, the fourth, or maybe the 10th time, you hear that there's something you didn't notice on first, but it's the bass. Also playing around the vocals a lot. Um, that was fun. I was definitely way more pleased with this one than the other records I did with the band.
So you were working out some demos on your own at home, but when you all got together, when you did the actual recording, you were all together in the studio, I assume, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You all
we only
lived.
three. We're just three at
Hmm?
the moment, and we went down like all the other times. All the other records has been recorded with Jacob Hansen, who lives
Yeah.
like 5 hours from where we live. So we go there and we stay there for a week, and then we go home for a couple of days and get back. I mean, we recorded the whole album in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Um, we did play at the same time, but we only kept the drums because I mean that was the most important thing, and then we do, you know, then the guitars and the bass and the vocals. So it's not like a real live recording, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
What about you do have a tour scheduled to promote the record, right?
yeah, we've got a big tour
Where?
coming up. We start in Canada
Oh,
here in June. I think the first show is in Vancouver on the 6th or the 7th of June.
that's
And
beautiful. Have you ever
then,
been there?
yeah, yeah, I have. We played there a few times. I love it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Oh, yeah.
some was there something
Yeah.
happening with a
Yeah.
accident? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know that it was an accident, but yeah, there was an incident where somebody drove a
incident.
car into a bunch of people. It's just terrible.
Yeah, terrible. But no, but
But
yeah,
how
we're
long
going,
is the tour?
and then I
Like
mean, then we're
weeks?
going back for a couple of weeks, and then we'll come back to the US in sometime in mid-July, I think. I hope we get in. Um, I heard some German band was not getting in, but I hope we get in to do the tour, and then we get. I think we're like 5, 6 weeks in the US, and then we get back and we do like 2 months in Europe. I think so. I mean, from June on and on I mean until Christmas almost, we're touring. But I mean, we haven't been out touring since I think September 22. So
Wow.
that's almost no 23. Sorry, it's almost 2 years ago. So I can't wait. I mean, you get kind of used to that life, that dynamic. You know, you're out playing, you miss home, you get home, you miss
Yeah,
playing, and you go like that. And
I
that's
hear you.
I've really been used to that for so many years now. So being home for the whole last year was, I mean, it's great being home with your family and your kids. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but that was something was missing, you know.
Understood.
I really I love playing. I love being out.
Tell me about your basses and your gear. What kind of equipment do you have? What kind of bass do you play or basses?
I play Fender Precision. I've been trying many different uh, brands over the years. At one point I was very much into Gibson Thunderbirds,
Mhm.
and I also got a old Rickenbacker from '72.
Wow.
It's sound great, but for what I'm doing right now, uh, the Fender is just, and the V4 Ampeg with a 8x10, it cannot get more classic rock than that. And the the American made basses, Fender basses that I'm playing, I mean, they sound so good, and they're so easy playing. I mean, it was like I didn't have to struggle that much. Suddenly, it was just when I got on those Fenders, it was mind blowing. So I'm not playing anything else right now. And even in the other bands and other projects that I'm doing, I'm just playing Fender.
Primarily four string. Do you play any fives as well?
I have a five also, but mostly use it in the studio. Because when we switch, I mean, live we're having two different tunings. Um, so I mean, it's best for me to just have the same to to go back and forth.
Yeah,
So yeah,
makes sense.
but
All right.
I'm struggling, and I've been struggling since I started in Volbeat with, because we got a standard E tuning, and then tuned also in C, and I'm kind of, strings are kind of, I need I'm I'm trying to find the place, I mean, the set of strings that kind of fits both, or so there's not that big difference in
Yeah.
the string tension, whether I'm playing in standard E or if I'm playing in C. But I haven't find the gorge, or
How
what do
can
you
you
call it?
not feel a how can you not feel a big difference in the tension? That's quite a quite a leap in the tuning.
I feel a big difference, but I wanted to feel the same, on in the tension, but I can't find the thickness of the strings, like the really. I'm trying to find it, but so it doesn't feel so like you're going from one tuning to another tuning. I want it to be as easy, you know. So I'm not
That
feeling the big difference, but
that sounds great. It sounds ideal, but it sounds pretty hard to find to me. I don't
yeah,
know.
okay. So yeah,
Anything else?
just that.
What about pedals and effects and stuff like that?
Um, I also have I have a like a distortion pedal, but it kind of, I'm using on recording. I'm using a Dark Glass. I think it's a Swedish company. Distortion pedal. I use also uh, Ampeg's own compressor. It's an opto compressor, and I also use Ampeg also have this effect pedal that's also like a line, what do you call it, for the line signal. But it
Yeah.
got a distortion in it. But to be honest, I'm also right now experimenting with a Kemper, like
Uh-huh.
this yeah, and it works pretty well. To be honest, I thought it would be, you know, not a real amp, but it actually feels pretty good. So we did some profiles in the studio that I'm using. So it's actually totally the same sound as on the record.
you
I
ever use
think
a Sans with Tech 21 Sans
well,
amp?
I mean, we were tracking with a Sans amp just on the line signal, but then we were not using that. We were reamping the just the line signal through the V4 with the dark glass on it. So
Uh,
to be honest, I've never been that much of a fan of the Sans amp. For some
but
people, it
you
sounds
made me think about when you something you said about the consistency of the sound, and that's what made me think of the Sans amp because that's what a lot of people like about it. I was just
yeah,
curious.
yeah. I mean, and it sounds great for a lot of people, but I just can't. I can't. When I sit with it, it just I don't know. Maybe I need someone to to dial in the real tone for me. But
But you're primarily a Fender P guy and an Ampeg guy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when I was playing punk and hardcore, I was just playing whatever the cheapest shit. But eh, so when we get to the studio, it was really hard sometimes, and I won't name any brands that I was using, but it didn't sound good. And when your sound is not good, it's also your motivation kind of gets a little.
Yeah,
You
it's
just
not as much fun.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
So
No, I understand.
but yeah, well, now it's actually many years ago, but then I got this SVT, the classic tube ampeg, and I got the 8/10, and I was just
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't have to work that hard anymore because ah you know you can just turn it
I
up a little
know.
bit. Yeah,
Back in my touring days, when I got to the venue and they had an SVT for me with the 810s, that I was always very happy. I love
yeah,
classic sound. Hate it.
classic
Hey,
sound. The one problem is to get it up because we have stairs where the rehearsal room is. So when you've been out gigging and you get back in the night, and oh my god,
yeah,
nobody wanted
I,
to to take it
I
out.
know.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested in getting your take on something because you did not go through the traditional channels of going to music school and private instruction to the degree that a lot of other people do. You
No,
kind
and
of
I really
discovered,
regret that.
well, but you made it work still. Because I want to ask you, for BassPlayersOnly.com is a bass instruction site. And we have
Oh,
people right now from all 50 states and 50, 60, 70 countries around the world, people coming to ForBassPlayersOnly.com every day to learn bass. And
yeah,
these are not 20-year-olds. Most of the people, I joke, I say most of them are over 40, but a lot of them are older than over 40. So we
really?
have people in their 50s, 60s, 70s. I've got students in their 80s, and they're not trying to make a career out of
No,
being a professional musician. They want to get together with their friends and play some classic rock riffs and some blues
yeah,
shuffles or some punk R&B, maybe some walking bass. And sometimes when we get to that age, things like arthritis and tendonitis and bursitis and maybe recovering from surgery. So I'm telling you all that to give you a context because I want to ask you, what advice could you impart to those people who want to learn bass? What should their goals be, in your opinion? What should they be thinking about? What should they be striving for? What kind of approach should they take? Anything, jump in anywhere. Just want to get your take on this.
I think for me personally, it was just the thing about being in a band, being creating something with your friends. I mean, they don't have to be friends, but the one, I mean, the first time that I was playing together, some cool riff or something in the rehearsing room when I was 14, 15, 16. It was just, oh my God. It was the best feeling ever. It was not about showing off, but it was just the thing about you're doing something that, together with three, four other people, and it sounded great. It was definitely the band thing for me. And then I also, kind of got the interest for the bass, and I started, practicing at home, and I had some lessons as well. But I was I would really have wished that I had spent some more time on the the theories, the scales and all that. So because now I maybe got the I can you can I'm not a fast player, but I can move around. But I'm feeling limited by my not knowing all kinds of scales and all kinds of great licks and that. I would definitely, if I was to start now, I would definitely spend more time on the theory. Yeah.
You'd be perfect candidate for my membership called the Bottom Line Club at For Bass Players Only. If it had existed back in the day when you were
Yeah.
starting to learn. But yeah, I cover all that stuff, and
Soloing as
it's
well.
just yeah, because people are told, practice your scales, learn your modes, and they're not told why. What am I supposed to
Oh,
do with all those
yeah.
notes in order to, make music? And
That's
everything.
exactly how I felt. That's why I didn't do it, because okay, I'm just playing, punk rock. It's just I'm not, but you don't know what you're gonna play in 10 years from now. And
That's
even in punk rock, I mean, it's useful just to add that little, spice in a punk rock
yeah.
song.
I
So
interviewed Mike Watt, I think about three times. When you keep talking about punk rock, I think of Mike Watt. Is he somebody that is on your radar?
maybe if you what his band, what is,
Iggy and the Stooges, Fire
ah,
Hose.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, of course.
Very interesting guy, very fun guy to talk to and hang out
I
with.
could imagine. Yeah. No, but
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
you got a band like Rancid,
yeah.
uh, and I mean, just listening to the bass lines is you know he's phenomenal. And also Descendants. I mean, he's just also, I can't remember the names because I don't really. I'm into the band, but I can't really remember the names. But I mean, Descendants is also just great fucking songs, and the bass is just all over the place, and it sounds amazing. Of course.
Um, I, I want to ask you about the future. You've got 2025 pretty well planned out, but anything that you can share about either something else that you're thinking about that's percolating that you'd like to do, or something maybe that you've always wanted to do musically, but just haven't gotten around to it yet. How far into the future can you see about what you're going to do or what you'd like to do?
Um, I mean, I can see now we're 25 is booked, and 26 we're also gonna be out, maybe some festivals, but I mean, that's not a genre that I would say no to playing. I think just playing together with other people, and definitely playing with, playing other genres. I would love to play country music. I'm also a lot into, what do you call it, a little indie kind of country, alternative country. Um, and there's a do you have you heard about a girl called Giuliano Riolino? No, but
Is she from South America?
No,
I mean,
I think she's
I don't
no, I
know.
don't know, but
Okay.
she did an album a couple of years ago, and the bass on that album is just wow. He's good. I mean, it's just so melodic and so that gave me the the lust for playing country as well, and also ska and reggae. I also listen to dub reggae, and the
Yeah.
bass is just so different.
Oh
So I
yeah.
mean, I would love to try and play all kinds of genres, but I don't think
We're,
it's not going to be this year, or probably not going to be next year as well.
it's
But I'm
funny
open
because
for it. I mean, that's the goal, to play with as many people as possible and play as many different kinds of music. That is definitely my goal.
I had never really listened to a lot of country music, but I had some students in my membership request a country course and bluegrass. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, okay. I started listening and I got into it, and it was really fun to develop this course, which I've now included in the membership. And you mentioned
Okay.
reggae. There's a reggae course there too. And what's always been odd to me is how rarely they hit the bass on the downbeat. It's always like on the end of one or the
Yeah.
do do
Yeah.
do 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 do
Yeah.
do do. I met Aston Family Man Barrett one time at
Yeah.
Bob Marley's longtime bass player. This was in California at a bass player live conference, and
Okay.
yeah, what a legend. There's you just you just can't. I mean that feel you've got to have. I'm not saying you can't learn it, but there's something so instinctual about the way he used to do it that was just like nobody else.
No, exactly. And I mean, and those bass lines are such a big part of the songs. But I mean, you don't think about it. It's just such an integrated part of the song. And I mean, some of those bass lines um you can just play, and then oh, that's the song. A lot of I mean, you cannot do that with a Volbeat bass line. Oh, that's the song. What a lot. I mean, yeah.
Oh, fun. I have one more question for you. If you can imagine, what would you be if you were not a bass player? Something outside of music.
Um, I mean, I had regular jobs until, I mean, 9 years ago. I was working like a social worker with the old people,
Oh,
but yeah, and I've been in a record shop as well. But if it was to be anything, it's very hard for me to imagine a life where music in one part of another was not, a big part of my life. I
well,
mean, I've
common.
been what?
It's a common answer. A lot of people respond that way.
But it's really difficult. I mean, I got other hobbies. I like fish tanks and bonsai trees, but my life would not be the same without music. It's what I've been doing. I mean, almost all my life. I can everything, all my memories, and it's connected with some songs and some you know times in your life, and you connect that with a certain genre or certain record or artist. It's very difficult to to kind of take it out of your life. What would I be then? Nothing.
Yeah. It's interesting. I got a lot of interesting answers, and it's just a way for me to learn a little bit more about the person. So
What what
thank you
what
for
would you
sharing.
do? What would you
I
do
would
if
do
you?
I would do something in business. When I in my undergrad and in graduate school, I double majored in music and business administration. People used to say that's
Okay.
a strange combination, and I never understood what was strange about that. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to develop crossword puzzles. I'm a
Oh,
crossword.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, there's no money in that. Not that there's, for most people, not that there's a lot of money in music either.
Oh.
It's something that I'm just a crossword fiend, and I don't know. It
But
was
could you imagine taking music totally out of your life?
uh,
Now you make me
not
think.
very happily, no.
No.
but but I do have a passion for business as well, and
Yeah.
to some point, it doesn't really matter the nature of the business because business is business, and I can get excited about just about any business. But I started my business with something that I have a passion for, and
Yeah.
I used to tour and travel and go all over the world and get home at 4 in the morning and do 400 or 500 gigs a year. And I was writing and I look
Whoa.
back years very fondly. And I just at this point I don't really want to do that again. But I'm
No.
I'm I'm playing, writing, and recording music all day long right now. I do it from
Okay.
home and I get to share it with people, and I'm helping people who it's sad to me to think of somebody going through their whole life never having learned how to play an instrument or not learning how to play
Yeah.
it well. And there's, I don't have to tell you about the joy and the pleasure of making music. And if
No.
somebody doesn't have that and they want that, then I feel good about helping them get that. That's songs that were so meaningful to them when they were in high school and when they were in college 40, 50, 60 years ago. And they'll to play that music, and it's very healthy emotionally, and it's just very fulfilling, and
It's very
for
good. It's
so
actually
many
very
people.
good for your brain too, to keep your
Yeah.
brain fresh. I mean, to learn something new. That's the best thing you can do for your mind.
Well, that's what they say about crossword puzzles too. My wife says it's
Yeah,
not
I
maybe
read that too, actually.
not working so well for me, she says, but
Okay.
but no, she likes things that the answer is this or it's this. But in crossword puzzles, there's a creativity and there's the stuff that not everybody appreciates, but I
No,
like it.
no, but I mean,
Yeah.
as you said, that's about learning an instrument. That's what I try to. I would love my kids to start playing an instrument, but because I mean, I want them to have as much joy from music as I had, but I don't want to push them. I mean, it has to come natural. Otherwise, they won't do it. But I would love for everybody to play an instrument, to play music with other people. It's the best thing ever.
Well, the best thing you're doing, I think, is just setting an example. You're not forcing it on them. You're showing them, hey, look what I'm doing. I'm having fun. If you want to do it, I'd encourage
Yeah,
you to do it. If not, I'm not
yeah.
going to force you. There you go. You're a good dad.
Oh, thanks.
Well, the album is called God of Angels Trust. You know what? I was going to wrap it up here, but what is that title about? Why is it called that?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's a little bit difficult because for me to answer those questions because Michael also, he's writing the lyrics and he has all these um, very good answers to those questions. And I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really been listening. Yeah, I have been listening, but I mean, he explains it so well, and I really can't do it justice to try to
Okay.
explain it. It's a cool title.
Yeah. And it's a
Yeah,
great album. God of
cut that out.
Angels. The band is Volbeat. Kaspar Boye Larsen. What a pleasure sitting down talking with you, getting to know you a little bit. Congratulations on all your
Same. It was
success.
such a different interview. I love it. I mean, just talking about music and bass.
That's what I do. That's what I know.
Uh,
Enjoy
Been
the
a pleasure.
tour, safe travels, and have fun playing music and doing what you love. And I hope our paths will
Thanks.
cross in person soon and often.
Yeah, me too. Where are you out from?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yes.
I can't remember the
I
tour
grew,
right now, but I hope so too.
grew up in the Detroit area. I was actually born in Cleveland, Ohio, and moved here with my family 4 days before I turned 7. And
Oh, okay.
grew up in the Detroit area, and then my wife and I just a few years ago moved to mid Michigan. So we're in the Lansing area. Our daughter and her family are there, and son is in Chicago, and my family's a little spread out. I have another son who's in California, the guitar player. Went to Berkeley, played on Dua Lipa's
Oh,
latest album, and
really?
he's doing a lot of very cool stuff. Adam James, he goes by.
Adam
That's
James.
James. Yeah. So what's I guess Adam Liebman wasn't didn't have the cachet that he was looking for. I don't know.
Okay.
But
No.
thanks so much for sharing all the information. Congratulations on the new record. Good luck with the
Thanks
tour,
for
and
having me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
my pleasure. And I hope to meet in person soon.
Yeah, me too.
Take care, my friend. Thanks again.
Take care.
That was definitely as enjoyable as I hope it looked. Great guy. The album really is wonderful. I've been listening to it, and if Volbeat comes through your area, be sure to catch them. They're going to be very, very busy touring throughout 2025, and I think he hinted even a little bit beyond that. If you've ever wanted to learn bass, you should know that right now there are thousands of people inside the For Bass Players Only community, men and women of all ages. And you know what they're doing? They're learning bass. They're having the time of their life playing music that they love. Come join them and experience that incredible transformation for yourself. As I always say, you're never too old to groove. I will see you right back here next week, same time, same place, with another bass player interview right here on ForBassPlayersOnly.com. In the meantime, I'm John Liebman. Let's play bass.